Hey guys, welcome to the latest Echoes Ramble episode. Today, as you can see, we'll be talking about Faction Wargames and how it could be so much better. We're going to be addressing its most common problems and how we believe we can actually solve them as a community if we can get netties to listen. Netties, if you're listening, then please at least have a look at some of these suggestions. Without rambling on too much, please remember to like, comment and subscribe. It really does help out with the YouTube algorithm, and let's get started. So, Faction Wargames. It released quite a while back now, probably about a year and a half thinking about it. Now, what is Faction Wargames? It is another instance whereby we get to choose certain rental ships and go into a particular map, fight over that map, claim the objectives. Whichever side gets more objectives wins. Simple as that. The more you win, the more points you get, and the more points you get, the more you can buy off of the loyalty point store. Now, unfortunately, since the Faction Wargames was originally released to us, we have only ever had one map in one game mode, which has meant that after, say, first couple of weeks, it gets boring. Really boring after the first couple of weeks. That, and you don't have any control unless you go in as a fleet over who you're getting paired with. So it's entirely possible for you to go in, be the best possible player on the map, but just not win a single game because everybody else coming in doesn't know what they're doing on your team, that is. If you browse the Eve Echoes Discord server and have a look at any complaints regarding Faction Wargames, the largest complaint that you'll often find, and this is most common in the suggestions channel, is the queue. Faction Wargames is so very unpopular that nobody's queuing up to play the game, to engage with this particular form of content. So those few people that are actually trying to engage with this content often finds they can be queuing for upwards of an hour, just waiting for somebody to join in with them because there just isn't that many people engaging with the content. And netties haven't really looked at this all that much. All they tend to do is give away free loyalty points, which gives us less of a reason to engage with this content, and keep on giving us time-limited Faction Wargames modes that are more of just a testing bed for new features and new ships. And they don't see themselves getting repeated all that often. At the end of the day, we're still stuck with Faction Wargames Shattered Belts, as you can see on the screen right now. Yeah, so that's a quick summary of Faction Wargames. How would we fix it? Of course, I can't speak for what your suggestions are going to be. I can only put forward what mine are and read whatever your comments may be in the comment section. I promise I will read them. So, how would I first start addressing Faction Wargames? First up, we need to make it more entertaining, more engaging, more varied is the word that I'm looking for. So that means new maps. For starters, we need, with these new maps, new objectives, new forms of gameplay, so it's not going and destroying industry ships or keeping them alive. We need to engage in something else. Maybe have a map whereby we can't warp, whereby you have to physically fly at sublight speed to the objectives. That'd be an interesting quirk. So there are ways of making various maps different. Also, botting. The most common suggestion about getting Faction Wargames more engaging is, of course, getting the queue times down. And the first and most obvious solution is, after 2 minutes, say, fill in the rest as bots, as basic AIs. It's not the best solution. It's hard to accept that as a solution, but if it actually gets people playing the game, put in some basic NPCs that are capable of completing the objectives. Don't make them very good, but at least put them in there, or have the team undermanned. Make it so that the game can start with 50% of the team size on either side. Maybe do that instead of throwing in bots. It's always better to play against human players in these modes. Another suggestion would be stop giving away free loyalty points, because every couple of events we'll find that there's a bunch of loyalty points up for free, or maybe you can buy them with the event exclusive currency. Every time we get loyalty points through that particular method, we are disincentivized from obtaining them through the Faction Wargames. So that's another thing. We need to create incentive to go into Faction Wargames, as well as making it more engaging. And the first incentive is to stop giving away all of these free points. Another one would be leveling up in Faction Wargames, because if we go to the Faction Wargames store, in fact, before I go there, you'll notice I've not engaged particularly much in Faction Wargames. I am a level 2 captain. Now, in order to level up, it is extremely difficult, and most people don't go beyond levels 2 or level 3. Leveling up needs to be a lot easier, because if you have to win 9 out of 10 games to get to level 5, if level 5 is even the highest level, I honestly can't remember now, it's going to take you an awful long time, and you're going to have to team up with particular people that you know are reliable to make sure you can go in with a cohesive team. Find a way of making the level up system a bit more fair, so that if you have a run of bad luck having lower quality teammates, you're not penalised as heavily. Get more people in there. The next suggestion, that I had on the tip of my tongue just a minute ago. The final suggestion would be the queue. At the moment, when we go into Faction Wargames, of course, I can't demonstrate this right now because it is currently 1749. I have to wait until 1900 before it'll open. But when you go in and you start waiting to queue up with other players, you cannot see who you're queued up with. I'm not talking like names like, oh, hey there, my best friend in the game, you're queued up with me as well, are you? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how many people are queued up with you. If you need, say, 10 people in the queue before the game can start, and you're on 9 people for a good 10 minutes and you decide to quit, could be 10 seconds later you get that final person in and it's good to go. You might be more likely to stick around for a couple more minutes if you know how close to complete in full your queue is. So just throw in that level of transparency. It will keep people in the queue just that little bit longer to get them engaged with the content. Now, all of that is my suggestions for improving Faction Wargames with regards to the game mode that it actually is. Of course, we would much prefer that Faction Wargames had more of an impact on the game, and that there was so much more to it. For example, have it actually in real space, as it were, whereby ships lost are recovered through insurance, or maybe not insurance, maybe you have to go and source your replacement ships elsewhere. Another suggestion, which I wouldn't expect NetEase to do, would be allow you to fly in your own custom ships. Allow people to show off their fancy nanocores and their B-type weapons and modules. Let them. Why not? Give them a reason to go into Faction Wargames, even if they're overpowered compared to all of the people using ship rentals. Anyway, that's all I've got to say about this particular topic matter. As I said at the beginning of the video, please like, comment and subscribe if you want to hear more content such as this. and I'll cut it there. See you guys in the next video.